Welcome to the Seeker's Hollow. I'm Brian. Welcome to part 10 of the Dolmenwood solo playthrough, The Hunters of the Aldweald. And welcome to part 1 of our exploration of Ryecroft. When we left off in the last episode, we had gone to Castle Brackenwald and we got a lot of new equipment. We got the party some better gear. We got a mule, and we also got a companion for Loblo, our hunter, and he has Polo, the dolmen pincher now. So I think that's going to help us out a little bit with being able to carry more equipment and manage the things that we loot, and also help us to have a bit more survivability in battle. And when I left off from that episode, the party was seeking a place to stay for the night before setting off the next morning to head out to find the village near Ryecroft, which is Woodchurch Eaton. And I played some of that off camera, so we are actually now just on the King's Road here, and we are just south of the Hex where Ryecroft and Woodchurch Eaton are located. So we're going to make our way into there, and we are going to be traveling on a track. Now, the track is not actually on this Dolmenwood map, but we, due to the research that we were able to do in the Castle Brackenwald, we found some good information in the Plucky Church library there, and that research helped us to have some idea of where we need to go and kind of give us a map of some of these areas. So we are going to be traveling on a track, and it's the first time after 9 episodes that we're actually going to be traveling off the road. So on the track, we have a 1 in 6 chance, I believe, to get lost. So we will roll for that when we go on there. But one thing to update you on is that Loblo did level up due to the experience for traveling through the Hex here. And I did not give the party any experience for this Hex. I kind of just sort of abstracted that Hex there since it's not keyed and there's really nothing going on in there. So the party traveled over to here and they got experience for that Hex. And then I had them camp for one night, and now we are in the next morning ready to go into there. So, but Loblo did level up, and a viewer pointed out to me that the Constitution score will modify to the plus or to the negative your HP every time you level up. So you would get that +3 bonus. So there's 3 +3 bonuses that I missed. So that's a total of 9 HP that Loblo did not have. So that has been corrected. So he's level 3 now, and he's received 9 HP in bonuses from his Constitution. And then he also got a good roll. He rolled a 7, so he's at 22 HP now. So that's very good. And then with 7 Steps at Dawn, I had to lower her HP by 1 because she has a -1. And the first time she leveled up, she rolled a 1, and you always are guaranteed 1 HP. So she still got that 1 for that. But then the last time she leveled up, she rolled a 3, I believe. So that I had to reduce by 1. So she only has 7 HP. And then nothing to speak of with Samwise because he has no Constitution modifier. So I think, and also we went to the next level on his knack. So he has the Locksinger level 1 ability, which is 2 in 6 chance to open a lock. And then he also has the Locate Key ability, which allows him to locate the key for a lock that he has located. So kind of a cool ability there. I don't know if we'll actually get to use it, but... And also with his symbiotic flesh, his skin is now riddled with mycelia, so he has some mushroom fungal growth going on his skin. And he also has radial fern growth around his groin, so very cool there. But yeah, the big thing being that he is much tougher now with that HP like that. So just a kind of a quick rundown of what my goals are for the rest of the Dolmenwood playthrough here. We are going to complete this quest for the NPC Wagered Vague. We're going to complete his quest, and which means trying to find some herbs and plants in the Ryecroft cemetery area, and also to, of course, to escort him there as well. And he wants to spend 3 days there, so we're going to spend at least that much time there to look for those plants and herbs. And then also he wants to look for saintly relics, and that's a pretty cool thing, because as I'll show you with some stuff later from the Ryecroft book, finding saintly holy relics is actually very useful, even in the according to the Ryecroft rules as well. So that's kind of interesting that he had that, and it's going to work out well for us. So I want to complete this quest, and then that's pretty much going to draw this sort of season 1 of Dolmenwood to a close. And it's interesting because I think by the time that we finish this quest, the party should all be at level 4, and that's kind of about where I had wanted to sort of end this, was about level 4. And so I would like to do a second season of Dolmenwood, probably sometime next year, early next year, maybe January, February. And being that they're all going to be around level 4 now, assuming nobody dies right now, being that they're all going to be around level 4, I want them to go and maybe get involved a little bit more in the things that are going on with the factions in the world, and maybe get involved with some of the story arcs that are going on. So that would kind of be a sort of a new direction that the season 2 would shift to when that does happen. So, but yeah, we're probably going to have, maybe 3 or 4 more episodes to finish this up, and that is going to bring season 1 to a close. And I think everybody, like I said, should probably be around level 4, which is about where I want it to be at the conclusion of this. Okay, so right now it is day 14, sunning, and we've got warm and sunny weather here on the King's Highway, and we're going to make our way into the hex here, 1707, which is called the Fugitive Witch, and it says that this hex is serene and profusely fern-filled glades. There are ancient oak copses draped with spongy hanging lichen in this hex. So we are in this open forest. We spent a lot of time in the tangled forest, which is this very thick forest, but the open forest has some breaks in it and is a little bit easier to traverse. But we do need to make a check for getting lost, because we have a 1 in 6 chance getting lost on a track, I believe. Should be. Yeah, we have a 1 in 6 chance. So we don't want to roll a 1 here. And we did roll a 1, so we got lost. But with Low Blow, our hunter, we have a chance to find, recover when we're lost. So we can use the wayfinding, which is a 3 in 6 chance to find our path. So we'll say that if we can roll a 4 or higher, then we will get to find our track again. So, we got a 2. Okay, so we are still going to be lost. Okay, so this is actually the first time that we have gotten lost so far in the playthrough. So this is going to be kind of interesting to see what happens here. We need to roll a 3d6 on the consequences of getting lost table. So that is going to be a 9, and we're going to travel 45 degrees to the left of the intended course. Okay, so that's going to mean instead of traveling to the north here, we're going to travel over to hex 1607. And 1607 is the Wandering Friars. Now, we were at the sort of the top of the road there, and it looks like that's probably going to be about, I don't know, maybe about 3 or so miles into that hex there. So that would be probably about 2 hours of travel, about an hour in the tidelands here, and then about 2 hours into the forest. So we'll say that's about 3 hours. So if we started at 8 a.m., so we're now looking at 11 a.m. as we come into this hex. And we also do need to roll for an encounter, which is going to be 2 and 6. And we got a 6, so we're okay there. So let's see what we have in this hex. This is the ancient hazel and beech coppices inhabited by a vast population of inquisitive squirrels. And so this is an open forest here. And we also have a 1 in 6 chance of being lost in this hex as well as we come into this area. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to check for lost again. Okay, so I'm not really clear if every time you enter a new hex, you can do a new lost check, but I guess that would make sense to do. So we are going to do another lost check again as we enter into this hex here, the Wandering Friars. But let's look at a little bit of description of this hex. As the adventurers pass through this forest, they sight a group of 12 friars arrayed in severe black hooded robes, making their solemn and deliberate way through the trees and glades. They chant in ungrammatical, to those who speak it, liturgic. So I don't think we have anybody who speaks liturgic, although maybe Waedred Vague does. Let's see if it actually says about what languages he speaks. No, okay, we don't know about that. So we could hail the friars. Maybe we can ask the friars for directions. That could possibly help us to maybe have a bonus or something to not getting lost. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk to them. So we'll hail the friars. The friars are going to stop and they will cry out, "You declare yourselves. What have you done that pleases the one true God?" So, how can we reply to them? So it says that a party that replies truthfully with a sufficiently pleasing lawful feat or accomplishment receives the friar's boon, and a party that lies or replies with an evil deed receives the friar's curse, and a party that replies ambiguously or insufficiently must undertake the redeeming quest. Okay, that's possibly going to push us way off of what we're trying to do here, getting into Ryecroft. So, now, I think the most lawful feat that we've done is that we saved some of the Mad Toms that were poisoned and sickened. So I think we'll go ahead and say that was good enough, and we'll say that that's good enough to get the Friar's boon. So we're going to receive. We feel a calming warmth settle upon us, and we get a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, and a +1 bonus to morale for 1 day. And we could also join the Friar's Procession, which of course we are not going to do. And it says that if we have been granted the Friar's boon, we may follow them down a hidden path to the Chapel of Redemption. Okay, we're not going to do that, but we would like to ask them for directions. It says that the friars were formerly a gang of bandits who terrorized travelers on the King's Highway, and they took up the mantle of the church after receiving a divine vision and embarking upon a permanent quest for redemption of self and other. And the quest continues even now, centuries after their natural deaths. All right, well, we were just traveling on the King's Highway, so... Okay, so let's ask the friars if they can give us any directions to find Woodchurch Eaton. And even though Woodchurch Eaton is sort of a place that's kind of fallen out of memory, it is possible that these friars would remember it or know something about it, being that they are from the area. So we'll do a yes or no check to see if these friars know anything about how to get to Woodchurch Eaton, and if they do, then we'll give a bonus for our lost roll. And I think we'll say that this is likely, which means that one of these blanks will count as a yes. So okay, that would be 2 yeses there, beating the no. So okay, so that means that yes, they do have some basic information about getting to Woodchurch Eaton. They're saying, yes, just go over in that direction and you should find it. They don't have very, very specific directions, but they do tell us which direction to go. So we'll do the 1 in 6 lost check and we'll get a +1 bonus on this. So, which actually should mean that we probably couldn't get lost, because then even a 1 would be a 2. So I guess we don't even need to roll. Okay, so we did get a 1 again, but that's going to be a 2. So yeah, we didn't even need to roll that. So okay, so now we will continue traveling back to where we were headed to begin with, toward Woodchurch Eaton, and that's probably going to be about another, we'll say maybe 3 hours of travel to get there. So that's going to put us at 2 in the afternoon. We will arrive there, and we've probably used, our speed right now is 30, and we've probably used about more than half of our travel points, I would think, at this point. Let's see here. Okay, so we've used about 3 travel points, and we are going to arrive in Woodchurch Eaton, and we have entered 2 different hexes, so that's actually going to be 1,000 experience that we will get for entering those hexes. So I will update that. I don't think anyone was going to level up right now, no, although it's pretty close for a 7. It's pretty close for her to level up. But all right, so we're making our way into Woodchurch Eaton, and I think the first thing we're going to want to do is make our way over to the chapel here and have a talk with any sort of authority figure here in the area. So we're here in the village, and it has diminished over the years, with folk moving to larger towns to make a better living. And of course, the plague, which was 180 years ago, took its toll on the population, and only the most stubborn families stayed. And it's about 1.5 miles away from the Ryecroft Cemetery, which would be some information that we had got from our research, would give us a rough idea of where it's at. So we're going to go to the Church of Gale, and Father Edgar Potes runs the local church to the deity Gale. The church sits on a small hillock known as Church Knoll, surrounded by a low stone wall. The graveyard is accessed through the Lich Gate and contains mostly burials from 1421 onwards, after the raising of Ryecroft, although there are a handful in the north corner of the graveyard prior to the abbess's agreement with the locals in 1399, now overgrown with thick blackberry bushes. So within the grounds is a stone structure with a tiled roof, which is used to store the gravedigger's equipment. And Father Pope visited Ryecroft in his younger days with some villagers, but didn't stay for long as they were attacked by a giant beetle. And if we were to make a donation to the church funds, then he could draw us a map of what he recalls, and that could give us Father Pote's map. Okay. So just due to the fact that we're playing this solo, we are going to have the map for Ryecroft, but maybe we could make a little donation just to kind of bring a little bit of realism to the fact that the players want to get some further information about that. So we'll talk to Father Pote and tell him about our mission, that we're going to be going to Ryecroft to get some herbs and plants and things like that. And he wishes us well, but also warns us that it is not a safe place to go, and he would recommend that we don't go there. But of course, we are determined to go there and complete our mission. And we'll make a donation to him to get the map. So I guess we'll donate. Let's say we'll donate 40 gold. So let's see who we can take 40 gold from. Who's got some gold right now? I think all the gold is on our mule. Yeah, so we've got 200 gold on the mule. So we'll donate 40, and we're going to go down to 160. And he is going to give us his map, which actually is in the book. So that's something that we can look at when we do make our way into Ryecroft. But as I said, we will be using the actual Game Master's map, but you can take a look at the map that he's got here. So this is Father Pote's map, and It's kind of a crude drawing, but it gives you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. Of course, we'll probably want to make our way to the gate, go down the lane, and get to the gate to look in there and see what we can find. And given the mission that we tell him about, he recommends that we go and talk with Maud Mulkin, which is going to be number 8. And let's see, where is that one at? Okay, so up here is number 8. That's where Mulkin's cottage is. So we're going to make our way over there and talk to Mulkin. And it says that Maud Mulkin is a sour old goat, but she's an expert at collecting and preparing herbs. All manner of common herbs can be found growing around her cottage, and she seems to have a remedy for everything. Her cauliflowers aren't bad either. She will tell those visiting the cemetery to keep an eye out for rare herbs growing along Ryecroft Lane. Okay, so that's some good information to know, because that's telling us where we can find some herbs and even some rare ones on Ryecroft Lane, which is actually on the exterior of the cemetery. So it is possible that we could complete this quest without even actually entering into the cemetery if we have enough, good luck on the lane there to search for these things. But of course, we're definitely not going to go all the way there and not go in the cemetery as well, at least a little bit, and maybe try to find some of those holy relics, because those are going to be very lucrative for us. But yeah, that's a bit of good information to know, that we could hunt along the lane of Ryecroft to find some of those rare herbs that we're looking for. So that kind of gives us a kind of a good idea of what we want to do. And I don't think we really need to gear up or anything too much. But if we can find maybe a place to buy some rations would be a good thing, because we could stock up on rations again. So we'll ask Maud Mulkin, where can we get rations? And he tells us to check out the Griffled Copse. And so we could head over there, and I don't know what that's going to be. I guess that would probably be maybe out in the forest there. That one is doesn't appear to be numbered unless it is labeled on here. See, there's Molding Woods and Griffled Copse. Okay, so Griffled Copse is over here. So we're going to head over there, and we are going to check out the crabapple trees. It says that these sour packages of fruit make for a mouthwatering snack, which you can treat as a one-day standard ration. And the ones that are not suitable are fed to the pigs at Coleridge Farm. Okay, so we will go over there and grab a few crab apples, and we'll just say that everybody can get one ration, and we'll replenish those on our inventory. So everyone is going to be back to their full 3 rations, giving us 3 days of camping if we need to do that. And we will spend, I think we're definitely going to spend the night here, because we do not want to go into Ryecroft at night. A haunted, plague-ridden cemetery at night is probably not a good idea, even though I think that the fighting prowess of our party is going to be a little bit better this time around compared to when we had a fight back early on in the adventure. So we're going to look for a place to stay, and I would imagine one of these buildings is an inn. Let's see what we've got here. And yeah, we have number 2 is the Royal Oak, which is an inn. And where is that going to be at? Okay, that's going to be down here, the Royal Oak. So we'll head over there, and this is the only inn in the village. The Royal Oak is run by Phineas Globering and his family. Globering is a suspicious man who does not hide his mistrust of strangers. He charges more to those he does not know than to those he does. He has 5 single rooms to rent, and anyone staying here with horses can use the stables opposite for a small fee. And, okay. So, and it looks like he has a blue glass shard sitting in a case above the taproom hearth. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe we can ask him about the blue glass shard. So yeah, let's ask Phineas about that. What is the blue glass shard? So maybe he'll give us a little bit of information about what that is. So he just says that as far as he knows, it came from a window, a stained glass window in Ryecroft. And he believes that there are some old stories about some possible magical or cursed powers going on with this stained glass window. And that's all he knows about it, but it has a beautiful shine to it, so he likes to keep it there and let people look at it. And he doesn't know how he came into possession of it. It was handed down to him from his parents. So, or he doesn't know how his parents came into possession of it. So, all right, he's got 5 single rooms to rent. So, and then we also have a place for the horse. So I believe the common rooms are usually about 5 silver apiece. So we're gonna get, we'll get 2 common rooms. The Loblo and Samwise can share a room. Then we get a room for 7. So we're gonna pay 10. We're gonna pay 1 gold for that, and then I guess we'll pay for probably 1 more gold for the horse to stay and eat there, and then also maybe our dog Polo can stay in there as well. So we're going to pay 2 gold for that to stay there in the inn, and then we'll be able to get a fresh start in the morning to head out to Ryecroft. All right, so I've deducted 2 gold from Loblo's pouch there, and the party's going to rest for the night. And then we can get going and get over to Ryecroft. So let's roll for weather for the new day. And we're starting our 3rd week. So this is going to be Simswold week 3. So the early spring. And we're on day number 15 now. The party has been 15 days going on, and this is going to be Collie, and we are in hex 1707, and we need to roll for weather now. And it can also mark off the hexes that we've traveled to. We had the hex where we got lost, and then over here, oops, that was the wrong one there. So 1607 and 1707, we visited those. And I need to make a note of 1,000 experience for that. So 1,000 XP for travel. And let's roll for the day's weather. 11 is going to be gloomy and cool, and there is no ill effect, so that is great. And yeah, we are in the open forest, and we are back in the Aldweald again. And then let's check the calendar and see if there's anything going on this particular day. So 15 Collie, and nope, there's nothing going on that particular day. So, all right, so the party is going to set out and make their way over to Ryecroft. And the way that I'm going to set it up is that Ryecroft is kind of on the edge of the hex over in this area. So it's a 1.5 miles away. So travel time is going to be about 1 hour per mile. So it's going to take about 1.5 hours to get there. So we leave at 8 and we'll get there at 9:30. Maybe we could say the party leaves a little earlier due to the fact that we don't want to risk being at Ryecroft at night if we can possibly avoid it. So we'll say the party leaves at 6 and we're going to get there at 7:30, just as the sun is just starting to break through a little bit. But this is certainly going to be a dark and gloomy and creepy looking area as we make our way there. So let's see what the party sees. We are approaching the cemetery. If you follow the old Barrow Road out past the fields of rye and wheat, you come to a way marker. Opposite the weathered waystone, its destinations and distances no longer legible, is a leafy lane lined with old oaks and poplars. Overgrown cart tracks are evidence of a once well-used route fallen into disrepair. Okay, so we are traveling on a track again, and we do need to make a loss check. So it's going to be 1 in 6 loss check. And all right, we got a 6, so we are not lost this time. After a mile along the now disused trail, glimpses of an overgrown wall can be seen. Ruined and vine-clad structures can be seen through where the coping stones of the old wall have fallen away and the trees are less dense. Then, almost obscured by creepers, lichen, and overhanging greenery, you see a large carved stone gateway decorated in weathered carvings of angels, devils, and the dead. This is the Lich Gate, and beyond it lies the cemetery known as Ryecroft. Okay, so we are on the Ryecroft lane, and we're going to need to get the map for that. All right, so here we are, and the party is right up here. We're just at the edge of the lane, and we can see the area kind of coming into view. And we know from the party knows from the map that they got from the church father, Father Pate, that or Father Pote, that we need to travel along the lane to get to the gate over here. So we're going to do that, and we also can search along the lane for the herbs and plants. So the party knows that this is a place where they can search based on the information that we got in Woodchurch Eaton. So we have some special movement rules here for making our way through. It's sort of like a mix of open movement and dungeon movement kind of combined. And there's a turn order with that. So now this movement speed is based on moving at a 40-foot movement rate, and we're actually at a 30-foot movement rate due to the fact that we have two characters, Lobelo and Samwise, who have a lot of equipment, so they're at a 30-foot movement rate due to their armor and weapons and all that. So I'm just going to -1 everything from the speed here, and then anything that's already a 1 will just continue to be a 1. So we're going to move at a movement speed on a pathway. Normally be 3 hexes per turn, but we're going to move at 2 hexes per turn. And what we need to do is once every 2 turns, we need to roll 1d6 to see about an encounter. So starting from up here, we're going to be able to move 4 hexes in, which is going to put us about right there. And I'll probably need to use something to mark that. Maybe I can use this die here to mark that. Might have to get something better for the next episode. Maybe like a little clear thing that we can see through. But anyway, we're going to be right there. And we do need to make a check for an encounter. So let's see what's going to happen here. Now, one thing that I've been thinking about as I looked at the encounter table here, and when you're on the outside of the cemetery, I feel like maybe some of these monsters would not necessarily be something that you would encounter outside the cemetery, because I feel like there is maybe a little bit of a magical barrier going on with the cemetery itself. And I think the more sentient creatures also probably know that the cemetery is the safest place for them to stay, and they may not actually want to go out into the overall world and attract attention to themselves, even if some of them are powerful. But so what I'm going to do for the daytime encounters outside the cemetery walls, I'm only going to roll a d10. So we're only going to have a result of 1 through 10 here due to that while we are outside the cemetery walls. But once we move into the cemetery, we'll use the full table and it kind of conveniently eliminates some of the more magical creatures, like say these golems and wormancers and stuff like that, which I would, again, at least from the point of view of the game master, I would probably assume that they do not travel outside the walls very much, if at all. So that is my reasoning there. So let's roll a d10 and see what we will encounter here, and hopefully we don't get anything too crazy. So that's going to be a 4, which is a giant toad. Okay, on a 3 to 4 we get a giant toad. So let's take a look at the giant toad. We'll look at our bestiary here and see what we've got in store for us. How nasty is this thing going to be? All right, there's the giant toad there, looking rather interesting, and he has a he's got a hand coming out of his mouth, so he probably just ate somebody. These are warty amphibians with long, sticky tongues, as large as a great hound, and they weigh 150 to 250 pounds. So that sounds pretty crazy there. And they've got a hit dice of 2+2, so roughly about a level 2 to 3 creature in that range. So when we come back next time, we will find out how this encounter is going to go down with the giant toad. So thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you in that one. Take care.